Good morning, good evening, good afternoon to you, whichever part of the world you're joining us from. My name is Vignesh, and I will be your host for today. Thank you for joining us in this Test Sigma Product Updates webinar. Over the next half an hour, we'll walk you through some of the latest features in Test Sigma that can help you level up your test automation game. We also have a product of experts with us here. So if you have any queries on anything related to test automation, whether it is the features that we are going to be discussing today, or whether it is about Test Sigma's capabilities, or anything related to test automation in general, please feel free to use the chat button on your Zoom screen or the Q&A button to shoot out your questions. And our product experts will help you answer those questions towards the end of the webinar. On that note, let's get started with a quick introduction to Test Sigma. Test Sigma is an AI-augmented low-code test automation solution. Using Test Sigma, QA teams across the globe write QA automation tests up to 5 times faster. Currently, Test Sigma powers more than 25 million test automation suites across the globe, and we support more than 9,000 QA teams. And our customers have been able to replace 10 different tools on their test stack with a single tool in the form of Test Sigma. Test Sigma helps you automate your tests across mobile, web, API, desktops, UI, and whatnot. So that is a brief gist of what is Test Sigma and what we are capable of doing. Now to kickstart today's session, a quick look at today's agenda. We'll start first with a brief discussion on how you can automate the test cases in your Jenkins pipeline using Test Sigma's low-code approach. We'll then follow that up with a brief discussion on how to automate your Flutter apps across 3,000 plus mobile devices, the testing of your Flutter apps across 3,000 plus mobile devices using Test Sigma's low-code approach. And we'll finally wrap up the session with a brief discussion on how to automate your data-driven testing using Test Sigma's built-in NLPs. That is the agenda for today. To kickstart today's session, I would like to invite Vikram. Vikram is a senior test architect here at Test Sigma, and he has over 10 years of experience in both manual and automation testing. Vikram, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Vignesh, and hello, everyone. So we'll just start with the Testsigma-Jenkins integration. So as you all know, Jenkins is one of the most popular and powerful automation server through which you will be able to facilitate continuous integration and continuous delivery workflows into your software development lifecycle process. Let's see how we can integrate test plans and Test Sigma into your Jenkins workflows. So this is my Test Sigma account. I have created a sample test plan here and I have named it as a regression plan. Let's see how we can trigger this test plan from Jenkins. So I have hosted Jenkins locally on my machine, and this is my Jenkins server. And you can see I have like 2 jobs here. One is trigger automation and another one is deployment job. So let's just go to trigger automation job. So here I have configured this job. So basically this is a freestyle job, meaning a standalone job. And here, when you scroll down, there is a button called add build step. So inside this build step, you can see this option called Test Sigma test plan run. So this is a plugin. This is our in-house plugin. And once you click on this plugin, so you will get this form. So inside this form, you will have to key in certain values. So the first thing is the Test Sigma app API endpoint. So this endpoint is pretty much constant. So this is the API endpoint and the API key. So the API key is pretty much, you can find it in the settings page of your Test Sigma account. And the test plan ID. So this is basically the test plan ID. So from the URL, you can get the test plan ID. And if you also go into CI/CD integrations tab, you can find the test plan ID over here as well. So mention that test plan ID here. And the next one is the maximum wait time for task completion. So mention the maximum amount of time you want Jenkins to hold this job. So let's say if your test plan is going to run for like 1 hour or 2 hours, you can mention like 180 minutes or 190 minutes so that Jenkins will hold this job for you. Once the timeout is exceeded, Jenkins will automatically quit this job, but you can still continue to view the results inside test plan in Test Sigma. And the next one is the report file path. So when you trigger a test plan in Test Sigma and once it gets over, so you basically have 2 options to export report. One is via XLS and another one is via JUnit report. So what we are doing basically is we are exporting this JUnit report and we'll place that JUnit report inside the file path that you're going to mention here. So once all these values are keyed in, you can go ahead and trigger this particular job. So this will in turn trigger the test plan in this particular test plan in Test Sigma. And so in order to view results as well, let's say if you want to view results in Jenkins as well, let's say if you want to see the number of test cases that has passed or failed from Jenkins itself, That you can also do via this post build actions. This is a third-party plugin called as JUnit test result report. So the same report.xml file, you can mention it over here and you can click on save. And once you click on build now, so you can see here, a new test plan will get automatically triggered from Jenkins. So you can see the test plan has started running. And once it is over, you will be able to find the reports in the path that you have mentioned. And you can also see the test result from here. So this is the JUnit plugin that we have added as a part of the post build action. And once it is done, you can see the results. So here you can see the number of cases that has passed, skipped, or failed. So you can view the results from Jenkins as well. Or you can also go to Testsigma and view the results, complete results as well. So this is one way of triggering your test plans in Testsigma from Jenkins. Now, let's say if your team is doing deployment via Jenkins as well, let's say you're doing staging, merge, or production deployment via Jenkins. So what if you want to trigger your automation suite whenever the deployment is done? So that can also be possible. So this is my another job called deployment. This is basically a pipeline script. So here I have configured like different stages. Basically, one is check out and run unit test, and the next one is deploy. And once deploy is done, we'll be able to trigger our automation suite in Testsigma. So here I am able to trigger this automation suite in Testsigma with the help of curl command. You can find this curl command inside Testsigma's CI/CD integrations tab. All you need to do is copy and paste it over here. So here you can find the same thing. So here you have to mention the API key and the test plan execution ID and the environment ID. Whatever environment ID that is being associated to that particular test plan, you need to mention that environment ID as well. And once this is done, you will be able to, whenever the deployment is done, this particular job gets triggered, or whenever your team wants to do deployment, they will come and trigger this job, and it will pass all these stages. And once this deployment stage is over, it will automatically trigger the test plan in Testsigma. So this way, you'll be able to seamlessly integrate test plans in Testsigma into your Jenkins CI/CD workflows. Yeah, thanks for the time, Vignesh. Over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Vikram. Yeah. So for the next part, I would like to invite Himani. Himani is a seasoned product management professional, and she has been leading the product management initiatives here at Testsigma for over a year. So before I pass it on to Himani, kind reminder, folks, if you have any queries on either the Jenkins integration or anything related to Testsigma, please feel free to shoot out your queries via the chat option provided on the screen. We have a panel of experts waiting to help you with your queries. Himani, over to you.
Hey, thanks, Vignesh, for the quick intro. Hi, everyone, for joining in. So I'll be talking to you about Flutter app automation using Testsigma. And as we know, Flutter is an open source UI development framework created by Google, and you can use it to develop cross-platform applications for Android, iOS, and other form of application using a single code base. Now, if you, let's say, had to automate your Flutter app using APM native framework, so you would need to take care of desired capabilities, take care of the locator strategies. But with Testsigma, it's fairly simple. You just need to upload your Flutter application, start recording your elements, and we'll automatically generate the locators for you. You can just go ahead and execute your test case. It's just like any other native Android or iOS app that you would want to automate. So I'll just give you a quick demo for this. So this is our upload section I was talking about. When you upload your application, there's the tag that you can see, which helps you identify which one is your Flutter app and which one is your native Android application. So if you had to automate your test case, I have a pre-recorded test case for you. And here, as you can see, all the test steps are already available because I recorded them, but we can also see how do you record it using any application. So here I need to select my version, my device, and the application list is available here. Let's say you have to upload a new app, you can do it via this PT also. Let me click on record. So on the right hand side, till the device gets allocated, we can see that these element information, here there are different locators defined. This is our strategy wherein we identify that which one is the best locator for a particular element, and the value section is also auto-populated. in the middle section, you can see that this schema tree is already populated. And if I click on any of the elements here, the attribute list is also populated here. So we identified that XPath is the best strategy for this particular element. So that is what we have captured. When you click on tab, and because I already have this element, but I still want to create a new element for this. So I click here, and here you can see my step got recorded. Now, if you think that this is not the best strategy for this particular locator, you can go here, change it to XPath, create your XPath and copy it here. So all those actions are readily available to you. So that's how simple it is to automate your Flutter app. And let's say if you also had to run it, right? So you just click here on run and select the configuration that you want to execute your Flutter app on. Select the application here, the app you want to test your test case against, and click on run now. So once you run it, then we'll start execution for it. I'll just show you a previous run that we have in our report. Here on the right hand side, you can see that what action was actually performed. So on the right panel, you can see that which element we were working with, what's the value, the element type, etc. And you can also see the screenshot. So you can see it for each and every step, and you can also watch the complete video wherein we record each and every step. So that was about Flutter app automation. The next demo in line is about data-driven testing using NLPs. As we know, this is one of the most common use case, right? Let's say you are a tester who wants to validate a ticket booking website. So you would have different set of users with you, right? Some would be valid users, some would be invalid. And for each of the user, you would have a number of cities. For example, you want to check for 2 different cities, source and destination. That is am I able to source the flights? Am I able to book it? Once the booking is done, there's a trip ID generated, and you would want to store that trip ID somewhere, because you might want to then perform database testing or any other sort of testing later on, right? So where do you store it? You want to store that in your test data itself. So all of that could be done with Testsigma very easily. These steps are that you create and upload your test data, and then you define your data set in your test case. So defining could be done either at the test case level or at the NLP level. That is the test step. Then let's say you have 10 rows, 10 of rows, right? But you only need 3 rows based on certain criteria. You can apply that filtering also. And once the runtime value is generated, which is trip ID in our case, you can store that in your test data. All of that could be done using NLPs. Before moving on to my demo, I'll just show you the user journey, just so that everyone is able to clearly visualize what is it that we are trying to do. So this is my ticket booking site. I'll go on login and enter the credentials here. So I have logged in, and now I want to search certain from some city in my destination city. Let's say I want to go to New York on the same date. I'm a frequent flyer, and I want to book the best flight for me. So this one looks good. I click on book now here and just validate the details here, validate the information. I would also want to add some information here, enter my contact details. I'll select the seat. I want a window seat here, and I don't want any add-ons, right? Then you basically complete the payment, and these are dummy details, so please don't copy them because it won't help. So I just fill in the details, click on pay now, and great, my ticket is booked. So here's my trip ID. As a tester, my workflow is wherein I want to store this trip ID somewhere so that I can use it later. So that is what we'll be doing in our test case also. Now let me move to the demo part. I'll just navigate to my application. Before moving to test cases, you might be wondering that where do we upload the test data profile, right? So here on the test data profile section, you have all the TDP test data listed. Either you can create a test data in Testsigma, fill in the set name, add new columns, give some name to your column, or you can import your test data also by clicking on import, click on browse, and upload your Excel sheet. I already have a list of test data available. So as you can see, I have my source and destination cities listed down here. The trip ID column is empty, right? We need to fill it once a test case gets executed. And this valid email and valid password fields are not required for this test case. So that's another flexibility that in your test case, you can choose, pick and choose which fields you want to work with. So that was about the test data. How do you upload it? Let's now go to our test case. So as we defined that we'll first log in as a customer, search for the flight, fill the booking details, complete our payment, and store the trip ID. Here on the test case level, I have defined my test data profile. As you can see, other test data are also available. I picked this one up. I mark it as data driven because I want to basically iterate over. So my iteration criteria is that anywhere the destination city is New York, pick those rows for me. So there are 5 rows, but we want the test case to pick first, fourth, and fifth row. So that filtering criteria also I can apply here. As you can see, I have different types of filter available. I can iterate over row 1 to 3 or 2 to 4, or I can filter on the set name. Set name is basically this particular column, or I can iterate over different parameters. So in this case, I've selected my destination city. There are other parameters also available. And I've applied the operations and said that wherever there's New York, please filter it out for me. The same action you can do by NLP also. I'll just show that to you in a while. Now that we have attached our test data profile to our test case, now what I want to do is once I navigate, I would want to log in. But in login, I would want to parameterize it. So here you can see I've parameterized it. I have not passed in any static value. So for each iteration, the value will be picked from my test data. And in the last section, you can see that I retrieve my trip ID and I store it into my test data, right? So that is how simple it is. I'll just execute this test case, and in the once this test case gets executed in the background, I'll show you how do you go about recording this test case and creating it data driven. So this is my recorder window. Okay, here I can click on certain city selector, and this step will be recorded here. But this is not what I want to do, right? What I want to do is I want to define and iterate over it. So I'll select a for loop. And here it's very simple. Now I can say that for my particular test data and filter over the destination city wherein it contains value of. So here you see there are different test data available. Either you can randomize it or pick it from TDP or pass a plain text. So in this case, I'm going to pass a plain text. Now I can add any step inside it, and I say click on element with some filtering criteria. So here the element basically could be your city locator, right? So we want it to be parameterized. So I created an element for it. And I'll pick the value from my test data. So this test data that was attached in for loop, I will say pick this city from, because I want to pass the value from my TDP. Right? So that is how you can create your data driven test case on the go. And you can see these steps are recorded here. Moving back to our test case, let's see, it should have executed by now. So as you can see that there were only 3 iterations picked as we talked about because we had a criteria. And The first iteration has already executed. We can see the results here. On the right hand panel, you will be able to see that for the valid email parameter, we are parsing the value, we are picking it from data profile. Here's the first iteration, and this is the value that got picked, right? Similarly, you can see it for cities also. And then we'll see the major part of it, that did the trip ID get picked and was it stored, right? So that also we can check. We can check this is the trip ID, and let's see if it got stored in our test data. So as you can see, the trip ID is written in your data profile here. So the third one failed because there is certain criteria that didn't match while inserting your test case. So I'll just show you that as well. Here you can see that it's marked into red. So when we click here, we can see the screenshot and see that this was an invalid input, and that is why. So that was all about data-driven testing with NLP. Over to you, Vignesh, for any questions.
Thanks, Himani. That was a very brief and detailed explanation. For now, coming back to the Q&A session, first question, can Testsigma automate the applications having layers and layers of shadow DOMs?
Yes, we can. We do support Shadow DOM nested as well, and it was a part of our last webinar. Probably we can share the webinar link so that it will be helpful for them to understand how we try to automate Shadow DOMs inside Testsigma.
Okay, and is it possible to update APK and IPA in an automatic way?
So I think we can do it with the help of REST API. We do have API endpoints where we could use that to upload APK and IPA files, and we can also do that via Jenkins as well. There are also certain third-party plugins, HTTP plugins. You can try that, or you can also do that via curl command as well. So yeah, it is possible to update APK and IPA files via the endpoints that we have in Testsigma.
Okay, and another question that we have, I think this is about Flutter app testing. So does Testsigma support both testing on Android and iOS platforms for Flutter apps? Are there any specific differences in the automation platforms for each?
Yes, we do support both Android and iOS. You just need to upload your normal app files, the APKs or IPS, and like Himani showed in the demo, it follows the normal automation process for all the apps in the product.
Okay, and can we test HTML tables? How do we identify cells with images?
Yeah, so anything that is related to HTML and DOM could be automated with Testsigma, and it's in the similar way that you do any other recording or any other testing. These are simple click action, simple image upload action, image capture. So all of that is supported.
Is PDF testing possible with Testsigma? And if it is, are there any limitations?
So currently we'll be able to test PDF testing. So if you want to test the contents inside the PDF via OCR, you'll be able to do that. We have this capability called OCR add-ons. So you can write add-ons and then you'll be able to test the contents inside the PDF. And we also have other add-ons as well to check the contents inside the PDF as well.
All right. And are there any limitations or known issues when automating Flutter apps with Testsigma that people should be wary about?
So the thing is, when you are developing your Flutter app, so this needs some things on developer side mostly. When you are developing your own custom widgets in Flutter apps, they have to have something called a semantic label. So when Himani was demoing one app, right, you saw some fields called content DESC, right? So those are the semantic labels for all the widgets. They are built, you get it by default for the default widgets in Flutter, but for the custom widgets, the developers need to define them for our tool to recognize those elements. So that is the only thing that is required to be done on the app developer's part. Yeah, if that's done, all the views can be automated on the Flutter app.
Got it. And I think one of our guests, B. Goli, I think he's mentioned that they're facing a problem with the HTML table testing. Vigoli, maybe if you can, we have run a poll asking if you would like a personalized demo. If you can respond to that, we will reach out to you personally. One of our product experts will reach out to you personally and help you with this. And moving on to the next question, is there visual testing available in Testsigma? And if present, can it be used for PDF? Visual testing is available in Testsigma. Our last webinar, we launched visual testing on Testsigma. Vikram, Himani, can you please help out on whether it can be used for PDF?
So visual testing is mainly done to check the layouts of the page. So if the contents keep on changing inside the PDF, then the visual testing will eventually fail. So if you want to just check the UI layout of the PDF and things like that, visual testing might be usable. But if you want to check the contents, then visual testing is not the right approach over there.
Talking about contents changing, I think here is one last interesting question on Flutter. How does Testsigma handle app updates and changes in the Flutter app over time? Is there any impact on the existing test scripts?
Not really. It's just that when any existing element changes, the element definition has to be changed. Otherwise, it is like any normal APK or IP app. So yeah, it's not that much different.
Got it. And can we get the test results through HTTP API after execution instead of waiting for the execution in the pipeline? Is that possible, guys?
Yes, it is definitely possible. In our documentation, I think we'll have this API exposed so that you'll be able to use that API to understand whenever the execution is over, and you can also read the execution results as well.
Can we get an executive to assist in the setup of open source of Testsigma? Abdur Rahman, please use the poll to mark your answer, and we'll be reaching out to you. One of our product experts will reach out to you with the setup. And is there an option to not to log out from an app while the test is running on Android emulator?
What do you mean by not to log out from the app? Is it the application that user is testing or from the emulator? Like, what is it?
Looks like they are apparently getting logged out whenever the test is running on the app, logs the user out whenever they are running their test for the app on the Android emulator. Is there an option?
Running on emulator app is logged out. Okay.
Probably they can also reach out to us.
Shraddha will reach out to you. One of our product experts will reach out to you personally, and we can walk you through the use case, and we will sure help you out. And is there an integration of Testsigma with Telegram that is possible?
Right now, we don't have the integrations enabled, or we don't have such integrations. Probably we'll think on the similar lines in the near future. Yeah. Right.
Okay, that brings us to the end of this session. Thank you, Vikram. Thank you, Himani. Thank you all for participating. It was lovely. We had great fun answering your questions and walking you through the latest features. If you want any further assistance on anything related to test automation or anything related to Testsigma's capabilities, please feel free to let us know via the poll that is currently running on your screen. One of our product experts will personally reach out to you. On that note, it was great having you all in this webinar. Thank you so much, and see you all in another webinar. Thank you.